All right, all right. A good day to all. Sam here with you on a Tuesday, August 14th. Kind of mid-morning here, and as it's a Tuesday, we're going to be looking at traditional assets. So I thought we'd start with the Nasdaq as we're reaching some interesting levels here. So might be some things to learn and to be looking for up here. So I've got this is a daily chart here of the Nasdaq futures. It's a continuous contract. Now I know you can't see it up here. We're gonna dig into that so you can. I just wanted to give you the full history. So working back here, I'm all the way back to the 2008 lows, and you can see this really rather remarkable trend that we've been in with fairly clear Elliott count on it. It's not too hard to miss this night. I've got currently now, I'm just looking at the length of the third, fourth. We see we get, now I count this as we've got a little expanded flat up here. So I've got this as A, B coming down for the C here. Effectively, we double bottom down here, and that's the 2016 low. So from this potential wave 4, as I'm counting it here, we're getting to some interesting levels here. So we're already at the third algo target, the negative 100. So the length of the third from this 23 algo targets have been getting hit and blown right through all the way up. So this might be worth taking a look here. So a couple of things that we can do. So one, just looking for potential pivots or areas of interest where we might look for a reaction. Well, again, on the assumption that I have this labeled correctly, if that's the length of our 1, and I'm projecting here from my 4. So taking the length of the 1, projecting from the 4, well, we've just come up and just barely tapped the 2618. Now we're at that's a real extreme. And I'm not using that to say, oh, top is in, because it looks to me like there is more to go here. But note that we are absolutely at extreme levels here from an Elliott count in terms of historically where you'd look for an extension to be topping. So before we start thinking about calling a top here, we want to break into this entire sequence here from this wave 4 low and see if that makes sense. So let's do this. So I'm going to go from the daily, I'm going to go down to the 3-hour here, and I think that will give us, now I am in log scale here, so if we take it out, not a lot of difference when we open this up here. So is that going to get it for me? Nope, I'm going to have to go to the 4-hour. Yeah, let's go to the 4-hour. I think I can get it there. Okay, so here coming from this wave 4 low, that's what I was trying to get to, the wave 4 low. So again, it's fairly easy to spot here. So we get a good, here's my 0, so we get a good 1-2, and then as we go up here anticipating if that's going to be a 1-2, well, we need an impulsive wave in our third. So again, fairly easy to spot. So we get a 1-2, here's our 3 ABC into a 4, and then it looks like we've got a 1 2 3 4, and we're finishing up here. So I have this as our wave 3 in. Again, it looks to me like we have an expanded flat here in the B wave. So it looks like we go A, B, C into a B, expanded flat above the wave 3 high. And then we come down here for our fourth. We're going to move these a little. We changed time frames so much. So I've got this as our 4. So 3 is in, 4, A, B, C into a 4, and looks like we're carving out this 5th here. So now that we have this potential pivot here established, let's dig in a little bit more. So now I'm going to go down to see if I can do it on the 1 hour. There we go. Okay, so here's that expanded B wave as I'm counting it, down for our C. All right, here's our wave 4. So A, B, C. Now from here, again, it's very technical and fairly easy to spot this. So it looks to me like this is what we have here. So we've completed now. So look, so on the larger degree here, let me get this lined up here. So that's going to go up a degree so I can get that minuet, and then this, yeah, we can do it that way. Okay, so from this low is our 4. It looks to me like we go 1 2, and then again, now we're anticipating that we're going to have an impulsive structure to give us our third. So we can do a couple of things to measure. So first we'll just look at the 2. So look here. So we go, yeah, we get just a hair through the 65 here, but we know a wave 2 anywhere from the 50 to the 786. So that's a good wave 2. You can see here the algos, looks like algos took it right to target here. You can see then we got the little reaction, then up to second target ultimately before we get the first retrace of any significance. So now on the assumption that I've got that right, that we go 1 2 1 2 1 2. Note here. So that's a lot of 1 2. So this again, I think we've got that a clear 5th here. So if I just count that out for you here, looks to me like we go 1 2 3, 4, 5. Again, now let me lower that degree so it makes sense. We're going down to submicro. All right, so it looks like I've got a solid. So from this 1, 2 here, I need my impulsive structure, right? If this count is going to play and I have it correctly. So 1, 2, up to my 3, A, B, C, down for my 4. Now here's where it's a little tricky. We get a very, very short, shallow fifth relative to the 1. So if I look at that, let's do it here. So if this is right, and I have this is 1 and this is 2, right? Get it right on that. Okay, so it's a little problematic in that. So 1, 2, we just barely cleared the 100%. So the length of the 1 from the 2. So that's why you can see this subdivision here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got this is my 3. Right, that we know the highest probability zone is for the 1, 6, 1, 8, but we just don't get there. It looks to me like we come A, B, C into a 4, and we get this very truncated, well, technically not truncated, but short, as we do get a new high here, but short relative to the length of the 1 and the 3. So a very short fifth wave here, but I don't see a better way to count this here. So I've got that as 3, 4. Now if we allow for that, let's look at the relationship between the completed third, if I have that right, down to the 4th. So, of course, we'd be looking for a relationship or some sort of technical reaction there from the length of the third looking for the 4th. Well, it goes deep. Excuse me. We go deep here. And we're going to have to allow for it. So we have, excuse me, it looks like we have 5 coming down, but we can't have 5 there unless we're going to have another truncation. So here's where it's a little bit of a struggle, and I'll show you why I'm deferring and leaning into this count here. So I like this technical pivot here. So this is a classic algo play. So you can see it here. So we get a slight front run on the 50. Looks to me like that's a front run on the target. So algos get theirs right here. So from the 50 up to the negative 23. Looks to me like that's a front run on the target before we get this sell-off. Now here's why I think this count is valid. So from this, well, let's do this. Let's see if we can make this 4 work. So if I dig into it here, right, it looks to me like we have to go A, B, C. This is our problem area. I don't love the lack of definition that I get there, but I can't get this count to play any other way. So I'm inclined to play this way. So I've got this as 1, 2, 3, 4. Big 5. So it's got to be A, B, C into a B, and then we come down here for the C. As an Elliotian, you know, I don't love the C wave. All right, it's just, it doesn't give me a good clean 5. Now, if I had to, probably could dig it out here if I went down to a 15-minute. Looks like I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, let's do it just for the exercise here. If I can reset here. The problem is now I have to find it. All right, so here. All right, so here we go. Let's see if I can scrunch this up. All right, so here it is. So we'd have to go down into this 4 here. So we'd have to, this is our 3. We'd have to go A, B, and then down for the C. So let me pull back out and see if I can make that a little clearer for you to spot. Okay, so it looks like we have to do it this way. So from here, we have to go A, B, and then down for the C here to give us this. All right, so upon a little bit further review, we start to get some clarity. It looks like I can get my ABC into that, even though at first glance on the higher degree, it looked like it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I can get the ABC in here. Now from there, it looks like we go into a 1, 2. So up 1, 2, looks like 3, maybe 4 here. This is a little squirrely here. We'll have to see. Now let me pull this back out so we can put this into context. Okay, so here's our 3, 4. So now that we have the ABC set in here for this 4, we go 1, 2. Well, here's the tell. The reason I think we have the count properly. We go 1, 2, all the way up for the big 3. Now let's measure that. So if we take the length of the 1, get it right on there, projected from the 2. Well, looking across here, well, here's our high probability zone. We've gotten through that. We've gone out. Here's the 2, 6, 1, 8. This would be an extreme for the 3. My guess is that that's an algo front run, right? So we get a wave relationship here. It's short of the 2618, but my guess is that's algos taking profit here on a front run. So I have a good candidate here for my third, ABC into the fourth. Here's the tell, right? Again, I promise you this doesn't happen by accident, but note this. So if this is my 2 and this is my 3, right? We actually get through. So this is very deep for a 4 to go that deep. We're breaking the 65. But the reason I continue to think that that's a 4 is because this does not happen randomly. So here's our wave 1 high. We come down literally to the tick and pivot there, going off again. So despite the depth of this and it's not that it never happens. It's just that's exceptionally deep for a wave 4 to go that far. But the fact that this holds is the tell there that that's more than likely my wave 4 low here, given the ABC that I can pull out of that. And then it looks like we're going 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So let's think about what that might mean for us. So now let's try and put this back together. So let me reset here. We'll go back here. So working from all the way back here to this C low here, which is April 4th, right? So trying to get a handle from that low. Do I have a good completed series here that's going in? So again, 1, 2 in the larger degree here. I'm going to have to take that up a degree here so you can see it. So let's go up 1. We'll go to that. Okay, so as you can see, 1, 2, you don't see a 3 here yet. Because as you work through the subdivision, it's not complete yet. All right, so let's get it all the way up here. So here's a target for a wave 3. Given all of this complexity here, we're going to start to be topping out here. So this algo target, again, front run once. Looks to me like we have to, now that's already been played, so I wouldn't be sitting here anticipating a second reaction at the 23.6 off of this 50. So let's just think about what we'd have. So we'd have here now from the wave low 1 up to my wave 1 high to my 2. Okay, well so this is the high probability zone for our wave 3, but if you do the work into the subdivision, we're just not done yet. So I've got the wave 3 completing up here, which could be all the way up at the 2618. That would be the extreme from the length of the 1 projected from the 2. This would be an extreme. So let's put a hot box up here because this is something we want to pay attention to. So this is a candidate for that 1, 2. And then if we're going all the way up, here would be a target for my third 4 relative to the 1. We don't know where that goes. And then there's likely one more push up to complete the whole thing. So all of this would be completing up here. I think that has to go actually up a degree. Yes, it does. Okay, so let's get that even higher degree. So that fits in. So we'll go to minor. Okay. Now let's pull back out. Let's see if it makes sense. There's a 2 hour. Okay, let me get it here. All right, so from our wave 4 low, all we're trying to do is say, where are we in this 5th wave? Well, it looks to me like we aren't even complete with the 3rd yet. Let's get our 4 over here relative to the 5. So it looks to me like it's still just game on in tech. Looks like the Nasdaq still has good upside to go. All of this now moves over. So this would be, yeah, that would be above it here. This would be the higher high up here. So now that's 8,200 in the Nasdaq. Let's think about it. 1, 2. Do I have a completed 3rd wave here yet? I don't, because from that 2, I again go 1, 2, and again 1, 2. From here, I complete into a 3rd in the white, relative to the white, down for the 4. There's my completed 4. Now going up again, I'm looking for the 5 here in white. I'm looking for that 5. So from this 4 down here in white, let's move that down just a hair so you can see it. So 1, 2, 3, down for the 4 here in white, right to the point of control, interestingly. And then we push off yet again into a 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's that wave 1 pivot holding the wave 4 low. So we're still cranking higher. And it looks like from this count here that this wave 4 may just be completing here. Now we might have more upside here. So if that completes, then this would come down here. This would come down, oops, this would come down to here if we're going to complete. So the reason I wanted to take you through this is because you can't ignore these completed wave structures. They have to be accounted for somewhere in your count. So while it's easy to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you got to do the work in the subdivision to make sure that it all plays and that we adhere to Elliott rules, and we're looking for guidelines to steer us through the count. So this would be a tell here, so that I've got a good 4 going into my 5. So as we break all the way down, so I'm going to go down to the 30-minute into this last leg. Again, on the assumption that I have this correctly. 1, 2 here in yellow. Up for this big spike on my third. A, B, C, down for the 4. Here's that pivot. Now we're going 1, 2. All right, let's look at, so we would wick off the wave 1 high here. All right, no threat in the 4th here. On the assumption that the 4 is in, we don't know for sure it is. This is... looks like it is. Let's just see. We had a probability zone where we would anticipate that. So there we go. So we come right to the 38. Again, a little soon to call that in. We could have, there could be more here, but it looks to me like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, looking for 5 up here. All right, so here's our algo target. We can do also just wave relationship. So taking from that low up to the wave 1. Let's project it from our wave 4. Here's 100%, so that would be parity. I think this is more likely up here. We've got the 1618, so we get a second hot box up here where we've got a 1618, which would be an extreme for the 5th relative to the length of the 1 projected from the 4. So here's our algo target. We don't know that that's where we top. All right, so we've got a lot of contenders up here, and then we've got this one. Let's just move it over from our 2618 if we're going to go that high. So this actually may end up getting pulled over. If this is going to be our 3, if we're going to top here for our 3, then we're going to have our 4 come down and then go up for our 5 to give us our absolute pivot high. So this looks like this is just maybe a 1, 2 getting started. So let's zoom in on that, see how that plays. So if this is my 4, it looks like I may have a diagonal going in to complete the 5th. Kind of ugly here with this spike down. So let's pull that apart. So if this is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it looks like I may have 1 here. So if I go from this low, looks like 1. This may be 2 here. It's kind of oddly shaped, but we may have 3, 4, and 5 still yet to go. Let's get this down to a lower degree and think about that. Okay, if that's 1, 2, well, that's a deep 2. All right, we can take some of this off. If that's 1 and we've got this kind of squirrely A, B down for this deep C, well, looks to me like we've gone to the 786, damn near right to the tick. So there's our deep wave 2. We know that's not uncommon for a wave 2 to go that deep. So we've got, here's our 1618 target. So all of this kind of leading us up to some of these upper targets here. So if that's 2, well, we know that a reasonable target for the 3rd would be the -100. That will be very close to the 1618, 175. All right, so 1, 2, 3 looks to me like then after that we're going to be looking for some sort of a 3 wave down for our 4 and then a push up to get to this level. So let's see if that all plays. These are the wild cards. We don't, I guess I can take that off. We don't know where those come in yet. We're just trying to work through where we are in the count. So it becomes just a process of trying to identify the roadmap here and work through the swings so that we can account for them, because we can't ignore them. So 1, 2 looks like that's my impulsive 3. You know, that's kind of that's not a great looking 4. I mean, we have the depth, so we do have it in terms of where you'd anticipate it, but we don't have good, clear subdivision on this. But going right to the 38, I'm inclined to think that that's still in play. So all of this suggests higher prices here. So 75, 77, in that range, reasonable target if this low is going to hold. That looks like a target that is in play. So we'd be finishing if this low holds. We don't know for sure. Now, of course, with these pivots, we're going to get a pitchfork on it. So let's go see how that looks. So if we go here, so let's see, let's go to our 2, see if that offers any help. That gets it. Looks like we might have even go to the 3. So the 3 gets it. All right, so one, if I've got this right, so I do a little experimenting here. So I'd look for this. It's kind of interesting. This is the higher high, so I think that is my one. Let's make sure I've got the two perfectly spot on there. Looks fairly good. So this is, we're pushing the envelope here of what you can expect. But if this low holds here, so there's a little bit of trial and error and a little bit of subjectivity in terms of identifying what the market is working from. So we may be working from this, if this is going to hold, right? So that may be a tell here. So this is, we just missed the median line here, excuse me, implying the weakness because we don't tap it. So now that's a little more, that may be a better fit to what the market is doing. So let's take off some of the extremes here. And we'll just stay with the 1.5. So from that low, 1, 2, if this holds, all right, we have the potential for a corner pocket trade here from this. So here's our corner pocket, possibly. Right? We can't call it for sure, but we have a potential corner pocket there with the expectation, since we don't make it here, we're still in play to get it somewhere up here. All right? We don't know. There is a time component. So if we were to hit it right here, let's clean this up a little bit. That's going to be our wave 3. Right? All of this must go higher. Right? So potentially now, here's our wave 4, wave 5 going up. So right now, opportunity is certainly still on the buy side. This all looks very much incomplete. So from that 1, 2, 3, 4, if that's 1, 2, if this holds, it's look for opportunities to be a buyer. So we're always looking for the 50. So if I clean this up here with that now established, and we've got these zones here. So if that's going to play here, this is the first target, second, third. So a retrace here, if you're looking for this, anything that would come back down here, if we got a pullback, if this is 1, 2, then within the, I'd have to go down, let's go to the 15-minute. This could well be the start of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that would get us there. We'll go to yellow so you can see it. So 1, 2, raise that up a degree. Let's go up to, we'll go to micro. All right, so in this fifth, 1, 2, potentially now 1, 2, you may well have an opportunity here to be a buyer within, right here in this zone here. This is where we look for it. This is the prime spot for a wave 2 between the 50 and the 618, so that's 74.30 down to 74.16. Looking for this to come here and head up here to complete this 5-wave structure. So its bulls are fully in control here, at least so far. Now, if we get some things breaking down here, we might have to reevaluate. But so far, there's no reason to anticipate anything other than this sequence to continue. Right? We've got very clean, very technical trading. We've got a potential corner pocket here. We've got good upside targets here. We've got a clear Elliott count. Any opportunity to buy a pullback here is something to seriously consider. All right, so with that, I'll wrap it here. I think we'll look at one other asset today on Traditional Tuesday. But this is definitely something to be watching here as we approach these upper levels. We know we're in the 5th, and we're trying to identify where we are in that 5th, and we are still not done. It certainly looks that way. So look for opportunities to buy pullbacks here. Now, depending on the time frame that you're comfortable trading here, on a 15-minute, this is, again, it depends. Are you trying to scalp some things out here? Are you trying to be a swing trader? Are you just trying to get positioned here? If you're a buyer at this, if we get this pullback, if we get it, right? I don't know that we do, but if we do get this pullback into this zone, well, you don't need to be taking your stop any further than below this pivot, because if this breaks down, if we start to break down, then this count gets invalidated, and this 4 gets invalidated, and then we have something else going on. But right now, there's no reason to take that beyond that low. So if you can be a buyer here, again, I'd stay long, stop under that pivot with pretty substantial upside still in play there. So even if we look at it, say if split the difference here, if you got a wave 2, we're looking for that wave 3. Stop under this pivot. There's 5 to 1 right there on the assumption that you got out and took profit up here. Right? Likely there will be a retrace there. So if you got the opportunity to be a buyer there, there's 5 to 1. Right? With a relatively reasonable risk reward. So 5 to 1, I'll take that any day. All right, guys, that's probably a wrap on that. I went fairly long here, but there was a lot to work through here. I guess the broader point here is you got to count them all. Okay, with that, I'll stop here and be back to you a little bit later.